Hi everyone, welcome to the Lottie File Micro Interaction Design Index. Welcome to the Micro Interaction Designing for Next Gen SaaS Products. Today our speaker is Vinay Panjerla, and so this is an event with Lottie Hyderabad in collaboration with Divami Design Labs. Divami is a UX and UI strategy, design and design-led development agency based out of Hyderabad, and we specialize in e-commerce, B2B SaaS products, and enterprise applications. Uh, the Lottie community is a place to learn new skills in Lottie animations, meet local designers, developers virtually or in person with similar interests in motion. The community prides itself on being an inclusive environment where everyone and anyone interested in motion are welcome to join. It is a platform for testing, collaborating, and discovering animations for a community of animators, designers, developers, and anyone who loves animating. Some of the use cases of Lottie files is walkthroughs in animations, websites, and blogs, animated stickers, reactions, gaming assets, infographics, AR, VR presentations, animated icons, social media ads, and a lot more. There are more than 2 lakh companies around the world which use Lottie files in its application and design, which are mentioned below from a wide range of industries.
I've got a big fat drum, big fat drum. I've got a big fat drum, pounding so bad. I've got a big fat drum, big fat drum. I've got a big fat, big fat, big.
Listen. Yeah. Clap. You ready? Let's go.
So, hi, I am Stuti Paliwal. I'm a UI designer at Divami Design Labs, and today's speaker with us, Vinay, is UI design manager at Divami. He has an experience of over 10 years in this industry and with his dedication and design skills, made B2B SaaS products much more interesting and fun, using interactions, micro interactions, animations, icons, colors, and other UI elements. Without any further ado, let's call Vinay onto the stage and take over the session.
Hi. Thank you, Sriti.
Vinay.
Thank you very much.
Hi. Hi.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, this is Vinay. I'm working as a UI design manager in Divami Design Labs. So I have 10 years of experience in UI designing, and I worked mostly 7 years on SaaS and enterprise application design. So in this experience, in this past 17 years, 7 years and 10 years experience, I saw so many interactions and visual elements and colors and logo related stuff and all. But micro interactions also a key part for the UI designing, especially nowadays everybody is using those micro interactions and a lot of noise is happening around the micro interactions and stuff. So I would like to thank you, Lottie, because giving the opportunity to share my experience with the others. And I'll start a session on the micro interactions. So uh, today I want to cover in this session like what is micro interactions and types of the micro interactions and what kind of complexity will be there in the micro interactions and micro interactions how they will use in B2C and how they will use in B2B and which one is the best way to use the micro interactions. Uh, Also, some cases, how we will use the micro interactions to help the user to engage the user and increase the application engagement. Later, we can continue with the Q&A session. What is micro interactions? So this is name itself explaining micro interactions. That is a small interaction between the application or system, whatever we are interacting. There, some interaction is happening. That is micro interaction. So nowadays, most of the applications are using these micro interactions. It is customer based or B2B or B2C, whatever the platform is there. Micro interactions are playing a huge play role without uh, without huge impact, but some cases it may fail also. So we need to use very carefully these micro interactions, where we need to use, how to use. For example, if you if you experience this ATM mission, everybody will go to ATM mission and they will draw some money. Whenever we are trying to draw that amount, so you will hear some sound audio from the ATM machine that amount cash count and all. But lot of people are saying that that is fake audio they are playing in the ATM to just give a user engagement, and user will be in a mood, something is happening and the progress is happening about the money, and he will be in a relaxed mode. So in that way ATM machines are playing uh, some interactions, micro interactions. So similar way, we will use our micro interactions in designs, in applications, or anywhere. So different types of micro interactions we will use in the applications. For example, if you click any button, the button color changes will change, and whenever the progress is happening, we'll show the progress bars and certain animations there to just to inform that inform something is happening, and we are in providing that information to the user. Otherwise user doesn't know what is happening. For example, I'll take bank related application. So if user is performing some action or some flow, on that flow, if he is selecting anything or he is paying something, at that moment if you are not showcasing this micro interactions, color changes on the button, he doesn't know whether the action performed or that action triggered or not. So those kind of micro interactions, if you don't use it, He doesn't know, he'll continuously press on that buttons and he will irritate because he doesn't know what is happening there. So with this micro interactions, application is explaining the user that the performance is happening, so that user will anxiety levels will calm down and he will get to know what is happening. So like that, so, whenever the feedback is there, error is there, we will populate some messages with some animations. So that we are calling micro interactions. Those micro interactions everywhere we are using, like B2C and B2B. In micro interactions also, there is a different levels of micro interactions nowadays we are seeing in the applications. For example, toggle is also a micro interactions. If you see that on and off is also playing some animation, that micro interactions happening, but user doesn't pay much attention to that animation, but unconsciously some user engagement is happening. That micro fraction of seconds is also important uh, for us and the user as well, because in that few seconds only user decisions may change. For example, in Netflix we will see all the thumbnails, right? So the moving of thumbnails and the decision whatever the user is taking to select the movie, maybe 3 to 4 seconds by seeing that just the thumbnail. So there also we are playing the micro interactions, and we are considering all the times where he is using and how he is using. So in that complexity, the different complexities will be there. So based on the application, we have to use certain uh, particular animations, whether it is a medium animation, small animation, or complex animation. If you come to customer related applications, B2C kind of applications, especially a lot of mobile applications, you will see these kind of animations. There won't be much data, but it is self-explanatory what is happening. Whenever the data is loading, there with our animations or micro interactions, we are explaining what process is happening in the application. So the user engagement is very important when the data is loading. Otherwise, user may get frustrated or he doesn't know what to do next. So in with this animation, with this micro interactions, you are explaining what you have to do and what is happening, what is the next step, what is the result, those kind of all the information we are providing with the animations. For example, if you see any applications, if you have success or delete applications or whatever the data is loading, if you are showcasing with this kind of animations, user clearly understand what is happening in the application and how much time it will take. He will wait for it. After performing some certain actions, if data needs to come, then he will wait for it. Otherwise, if that fraction of seconds, if you are hiding the data unconsciously, he may get confused or he may get anxious in that fraction of seconds. So we want to give a better user experience. So we want to give those kind of interactions. Then user will get to know easily what is happening and what to do next. For example, data is loading. Sometimes it may take 10 seconds, or sometimes based on the application performance, it may take time. Based on the internet speed also, that might increase. So at that time, you are clearly saying with your percentage of number and with the certain animations, you are explaining user what is happening and how much time he needs to wait. I'll take one best example. For example, in nowadays Uber is there. So in that Uber also, if you don't show the animation, where is the vehicle and how much time it will take, obviously user will get frustrated and he don't use that application. While driver is coming to you also, then they are showcasing the animation which route he is coming. and where he is. So those kind of subtle animations may impact more in few cases. In this also, if you see after completing that one, uh, based on the mood, generally people will happy when the task is done. So here in this animation, after completing it, we are showcasing the enjoyment. Hey, I'm done, those kind of interactions. So the idea will be based on the mood, based on the persona, how we want to represent those things we need to consider, and based on that we need to design these micro interactions. So my, as I mentioned, so a lot of customer related products are using these micro interactions. Here, the customer related B2C products having one unique goal. No matter who are using, the end goal would be the same. So the end, for example, if we take the Amazon, you are you are selling something, you are going to Amazon and you are buying some product. So similar way, if you take the Swiggy, if you are ordering some food, you are getting some food. That is the end goal. But if you comes to B2B, business to business, enterprise and SaaS platforms, the ballgame will change. For example, the same application, all the users don't use a similarly. Each persona will use different types of flows, different types of interactions, different types of purposes. So in that way, we need to consider persona, and we need to go with persona based interactions, persona based designs. Everything will driven by persona based. Similar way, for example, if you are taking any movie, even if it is a great movie, all people may not like that movie. Why? Because all the users may not like that genre, may not like that script, that story, right? Other people may like. That also uh, depends on the context, depends on the user, depends on the target audience. Similarly, whatever we are taking in the design, in this case micro interactions, if you make a beautiful animation, a big animation, lot of things are happening in the animation. If you use those kind of animations in B2B, it may not work, because here the target audience are completely different. These SaaS platforms are enterprise applications. The target users will be end users, will spend uh, more than 6 to 8 hours per day on that particular application. So the users will be task driven, and he will they will fully focus on the data. They will fully focus on the task. So in that mode, if you are providing funny related or other big animations, that makes users frustrate. So those kind of interactions, it it won't work in SaaS platforms. So in SaaS platforms, only certain animations will work, and so micro interactions we need to use very certainly. Why? Because the applications itself, data-driven applications will be there. So with that huge data, if you are adding some more animation, the uh, cognitive load will increase. At the same time, maybe if you are using so many animations in the application, performance issue may also come. So whenever you are using the animation, it has to be related to data-driven, context-related, certain animations or certain interactions. In this example, if you are observing the graph, they are showcasing the values. In that values only, they are showcasing certain animations. That is giving a user engagement and better experience for the user, because user don't want to see the static information and frame kind of information. Here, whenever the data is loading, the animation, if you are observing, very certainly that animation is there. User may not focus on that complete animation, how it is happening, but the our as a designer, we need to consider these kind of subtle animations. It should not impact and it should not divert the context of the user, but the subtle animations make the user experience uh, makes better. For example, if you take a small form field, there also we can give a small micro interactions, because these might look smaller, but if you are entering any wrong email ID or wrong information, it is clearly showcasing whether you are entering correct or wrong. So if it is showcasing wrong, sometimes we can suggest what would be the right way. For example, the password one, if we are not entering a new if we are creating a new password, if you are not following the guidelines, the suggestions might come. But clearly whenever user is performing some task there only it is suggesting. So the micro interactions here, it is helping the user to do what to do next. So generally, if you see these kind of applications, mostly dashboards will be there, and a lot of data will be there in the SaaS platforms and enterprise applications. Uh, I just want to showcase you what kind of animations will come. For example, the as I mentioned, lot of data will be there in the application level. So while screen is loading, data is fetching from the backend. uh, we are mentally preparing the user. It will take time, and what kind of positions the data might come. For example, if you are seeing here, two cards are loading. So in that exact position, the data will plot, and the screen transitions. Those are very seamless, and it should not distract our user engagement. Or at the same time, we need to give a more appealing look for the application. So here in this example, if you are observing whatever the transactions are happening, those are uh, those are not distracting the user. For example, here data is loading, table data is loading. That definitely it will take a fraction of seconds from the backend. At the time you need to engage the user. At the time you need to uh, alert the user that some data is coming on that particular position. Especially B2B platforms, a lot of data will be there, a lot of sections will be there. Uh, for example, if you have full of page and with 4 or 5 categories, sometimes you'll get data in one section, and sometimes you may reload data in one section. So at the time, if you're not changing, if you're not changing completely uh, whatever the happening in the section, that may give a wrong impression to the user. Whenever the section is loading, there you need to show subtle animations so that user will understand which section the data is loading and which section they can focus on it. Yeah. The difference between the micro interaction in B2C and B2B is the main persona driven. Like for as I mentioned earlier, B2C applications mostly that that will go to end customer. Anybody will use, and that is only one goal driven. But in B2B, everything depends on the persona based. Each persona interactions may vary. Each persona designs may vary. So based on the persona, based on the design, based on the interaction, we need to provide the micro interactions. Whether it is a subtle one, whether it is a linear one, sometimes we may show the progress or complete workflow related progress animations also. Yeah. In any questions you can ask me.
Thank you, Vinay, for such an insightful session. It was really interesting to know your take on the topic. Uh, we can proceed towards the Q&A. If any of the people have any questions, please let me know.
Sure.
So there's a question from Sai Kamal, which is he says, "Hi Vinay, is there a thing called too much use of micro interaction? If yes, how can we look out for the necessary points where we can use it?"
Yeah. So, as I mentioned earlier, people nowadays just hearing about the micro interactions and they are using here and there everywhere. Like they are not thinking about the context and the goal. For example, if you are giving too much micro interactions in a payment flow, you are buying something through the application and you want to pay. At that moment, if you are just providing the micro interaction when successfully completing the transaction, then that would be a great. But if you are providing each step level animation, that may irritate the user, right? So in that moment, for example, user entering his credit card details or debit card details, or while entering the amount, if you are showcasing some animations, obviously he may do some mistakes. uh, it went wrong, then obviously user will frustrate. So in that mode, user is in a serious mode and task driven mode. At that time you need to give very subtle animations that should not be a noticeable, then that is fine. But if you are doing over interactions or over animations in that context, that would be a problem. In some cases, for example, a designer is showcasing his animation skills. At that time, it is required. Micro interactions, he wants to showcase each and every steps. If you are applying the micro interactions, the context is different. He wants to showcase his skills and he wants to represent what he can do. So there it might correct, but in other cases it might wrong. So you need to understand what is the context when we are using and what kind of animations we are providing. If you know these things, yeah, you may end up with a good micro interactions. Otherwise, that can be break also.
Okay. Uh, so the next question is by Advaita. Micro interactions definitely helps reduce frustration and increase delight in our user experience. Just curious to know how branding could impact micro interaction designs.
Definitely, it will impact on the branding. So, for example, I'll take Swiggy. Earlier, Swiggy application doesn't have much micro interactions. It's just a static list, and they're just showcasing the data and that data-driven application at that moment. So it got famous, but after that they realized and they changed the complete UI of the application. In updated UI application, they used a lot of micro interactions if you observe. And I can I observed that first level of micro interactions and whatever present micro interactions completely different. In earlier version, for example, they want to highlight the percentage of offers. So each and every section, each and every column, each and every row, they included certain micro interaction to promote the offers. But unfortunately, after few days, user don't notice that because he is habituated, and that micro interaction is very subtle uh, below the title and near the pricing and all. I'm assuming they realized that same thing and now they changed it. They want to give more promotion on the offers. That is why they categorize that completely different category for the offers, and now they're using with title based big numbers they are using on top of the pictures. So that is the good example. I can say in branding it is affecting. If you are if you want to promote the offers, if the micro interaction it is not solving your problem, that is impacting your revenue also. So in that way it is affecting on the branding also. So you need to conscious while taking a decision or while making a micro interactions how it will work, and you need to do the user testing how it will work and all. Next, Stuti.
Sorry, I was on mute. Hi. So next question is by Amit. Um, he says, "Hi Vinay, what are the key principles that designers have to keep in mind when coming up with micro interactions?"
Okay, so they need to understand the flows and they need to understand the purpose. If they understand the flows, if they understand the purpose, they will come up with a nice interactions. Otherwise it's a sake of animation. If you are doing it is not solving the user problem, then it is a waste for the user, waste for us, waste for the brand also. So if you understand the purpose, then you will act based on that. For example, as I mentioned that whenever the payment is success, there you need to provide. If you don't understand and uh, if you are making something other animations or fund related animation, that may not work there. For example, B2B applications, that is very serious applications. There, if you are making kiddish like 2D animation or very kiddish animations, fun related animation, that definitely won't work. So whenever you're doing the interactions, you need to understand completely flow and what you are trying to do, that you need to put it on the paper and discuss with other, brainstorm with other people, and know the purpose and what you have to do, that decide based on the decision, based on the user, based on the time, how much time you will be there to play that animation. You need to consider these kind of things. So based on that you take a decision what kind of interaction, micro interaction work for your applications.
That was very interesting, Vinay. The next question is by Ujjwal. He asks, "Are detailed micro interactions good for B2B platforms or simpler interactions bring better engagement?"
Can you repeat the question again, Shruti?
Sure, sure. So he is asking if detailed micro interactions are good for B2B platforms, or can we put simpler interactions? Would that be better for the engagement?
See, user engagement point of view, for example, B2B applications, you should not use complex micro interactions or animations, because as I mentioned, user will task driven for B2B platforms. In B2C, you can do that. You can do a lot of animations. You can do uh, nice storytelling kind of animations also. But in B2B, it is better to go with very subtle animations and small animations, not detailed. Also, I want to highlight one more point here. Uh, Detail animations or detail micro interactions might work in few cases for B2B. For example, uh, business process is there. So if you want to explain that business process in one page, okay, so lot of sections will be there, lot of paths will be there, how you are taking the data, how you are cleansing the data, those kind of things will be there. If you want to explain those complex method, a complex flow in one shot, there you can do the detail level micro interactions. But if you are performing something, and in between, if you are if you want to make a detail animation, detailed micro interactions, that might fail. Next to the
Yes. Okay, so the next question is by Aishwarya. She asks, Hey Vinay, very engaging session. Was just curious about some of the better usage of micro interactions that you recently came across.
okay. So just now I told one of my project I want to explain complete uh, data flow in one shot, but lot of sections are there. So that is a very complex one, I can say, and for explaining to the user also it will take time. He needs to read the document, or he need to understand that one. So with small certain and animations with one infographic, we explained the complete flow how it will work. So that is my recent work on this micro interactions. I solved that problem. Apart from that, previously also I did these kind of micro interactions based on the context, based on the user. But sometimes I also faced problems like file formatting, and whenever we are providing the micro interactions to the development team based on the limitations, dev limitations, that might not work. So you will face those kind of issues. Also, you need to check uh, dev limitations and feasibilities and application performance. Those kind of things also we need to check.
All right. We'll be taking last two questions. So this is by Mano. He says, Hi Vinay, since B2B applications are data heavy, adding micro interactions, will it affect the performance of the application, or are there any key things to remember when adding micro interactions in such applications?
Yes, definitely. If you are using the GIF images or videos for the micro interactions, application performance definitely it will come. But whatever Mano mentioned, that is correct, because data-driven applications, if you have more data, micro interactions will helpful in some cases only, not each and every case. So when the data is loading, page transitions, those kind of micro interactions will good for the application, because user experience will improve with that certain micro interactions. But each and every section level, if you are making micro interactions, that may increase the cognitive load for the user.
All right. The last question is this. So Mayank asked, "Hey Vinay, how do we get feedback on whether the micro interactions are impactful for the users? Is user engagement the only metric that defines micro interactions as success?"
So whenever we are doing some micro interactions, as I mentioned, first you need to brainstorm and understand the requirement and decide which way you want to do. And after doing the micro interactions, if possible, check with other persons, take peer reviews. and don't explain anything to that particular person, just to show that micro interactions and ask them what they are understanding. So if you check like that, two to three persons, if they are giving the same input or same feedback, whatever you want, then that is succeed. Otherwise, when we are working on some design or some micro interactions, your assumption would be like you are doing the right thing. But other perspective, if you check with the other people, they may not understand what you want to tell. So they may not understand, or they will seeing in a different perspective your micro interactions. And that will happen only when you're doing the complex ones. But smaller animations for B2B kind of applications, mostly it will be like a page transition and loading success related alerts. Those kind of micro interactions will be there. These kind of problems and these kind of bigger animations or interactions, you will work on B2C applications, B2C platforms. There, whenever you are making that, just take the peer review with some other people, a common user, who is that person. Just take a feedback with the other people, then you will get the answer.
Okay. I also have one question, Vinay. So I would like to ask, do you have any suggestions for some tools or like basically some tools that you use to create micro interactions and uh, like for beginners especially, like I still struggle with it. So if there anything that you would like to suggest which I can use.
Yeah, actually, Lottie is there, that session we are conducting right now. So that is a great tool you can use. Apart from that, other tools also there, but that depends on your experience and how comfortable you are. But nowadays, I am using Lottie because it is giving a code all the fluff, and especially we can generate micro interactions code based, right? So that if you are using the code based micro interactions, that is indirectly you are saving your application size. So if you are using videos or if you are using GIFs, it will increase the application size, application weight. So definitely that will affect on the application performance, right? Using the code based animations, for developers also it is very easy to put that code in, insert that code in their code, right?
Right.
So, and animations also, you'll get very smooth animations with images and videos. The quality will also get lost, and with code based, you will get very sharp and crisp images animations.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you. All right. Thank you so much, Vinay, for this very insightful session. I actually learned a lot, and I'm sure the people who joined it too. Thank you, Lottie Files, for conducting this, and Divami for this too. And everyone who joined, thank you so much for joining. It was really great having everyone. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Suti. I would like to thank you once again to Lottie Hyderabad for giving this opportunity to share my experience with others. Thank you.